Hallelujah. All honor, all glory to the Supreme Intellect of the universe, Yahweh, our forefathers, Yah, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Thank you, the Heavenly Father, for blessing us, allowing us to make it to another Sabbath day. Everyone may be seated. Shh. If you have children, please put a volume, please, the PARASHAT. All right, everyone, please silence your phone. PARASHAT. There are no phones in service unless you're utilizing them to either record the service or use it for information or pull up the scriptures. We prefer that you have your Tanakh with you. In children, there are no phones allowed in service, so we're warning you now. Any child that is found using a phone is given a warning. If you're found using the phone again, you will be kicked out of service. We thank the Almighty for the true blessings that He has bestowed upon us as a nation, as a people. There's a few messages I want to talk about before we get into our lessons today, but I thank God for allowing us to make it to this humbling Sabbath day. And one of the things I like to share with our people is the ability to let go of regret. And that's something that a lot of us haven't mastered, and many of us, probably all of us, haven't mastered. Is to let go of regret. The book says a righteous man falls 7 times and he rises 7 times, right? So in aspects of becoming a holy individual, there's some faltering that has to happen, or sometimes there's a falling down that has to happen that allows you to perfect yourself. But many of us, when we fall short of our goal, we tend to be angry with ourselves or live in pain. But live in pain for a moment, but don't dwell in it. Acknowledge the pain that you feel and the discomfort you feel from being wrong. And then allow yourself to learn from your mistake. And when you learn from a mistake, no longer live in pain. It may seem like something light, maybe seem like something that you're not going to pay attention to right now. But when you get older, you understand. When you're a righteous individual, sometimes you tend to be harsh upon yourself when you fall short. But when you fall short, you have to be able to move forward. When you do not reach your goal in life, you have to be able to move forward. Because the goal is still there. You ever seen a boxer who touches the canvas for the first time? It's his ability not to give up and learn from his mistakes. And we like to utilize fighting a lot because sometimes it's some of the things that we may be able to understand as a nation. Many of you watch many fights. A boxer gets dropped because there's a flaw in something he's doing. His ability to get up and recognize what he did wrong and stop doing it is what allows him to survive the fight and, for the most part, win the fight. A person that gets dropped and gets dropped and gets dropped, what happens to him? What didn't he learn? He didn't learn why he was dropped. So in truth, we have to understand that when the Almighty punishes us and chastises us, there's a lesson to be learned. Do not ignore chastisement. Don't ignore it. Most High said he what? He chastises those who he loves. And there's no difference between a husband and a wife, a brother and a sister and sister, brother to brother. If you have a friend that corrects you when you're wrong, that is a true friend. When you have a friend that never corrects you, never points out anything that you're doing wrong, never points out your flaws, trust me, that's not your friend. That is somebody that's just trying to appease you and will lead you in your own self-demise. The Almighty is very, very powerful. And the sister was talking to me right before I got up here today, and she said something that is very imperative because we have to understand what's our goal. Our goal in Shomrey HaTorah is establishing a community. There is no Torah without community. My father spoke on this today. There is no Torah. Don't play games with it. If you don't have judges, if you don't have overseers, if you can't love your neighbor and your neighbor's not an Israelite, then there is really no Torah. You are playing Torah because you have things in your mind that allows you to get away from doing God's will. And in this, I thank God because this week I was heavy in the study of sociology. And anybody know what sociology is? It's part of social deviances, but it is. It's looking at the familiar and the strange, but also it's a study of society and its influence on humans. That's what sociology is. Is everybody affected by sociology? Yes. Sociology has what it calls the social locations. Anybody can name any of these social locations? Tara. This is one. Race is one. Anybody can name another one? Gender. Who said that? All right. It's right. Nationality. Religion. Culture. Age. All of these are social locations. And what happens is sometimes because of your social location, it can limit you from certain abilities in life or doing certain things in life. Do you think race limits us in some aspects in this society? Yes. And that is what we call what? Marginalization. It put borders and parameters on what we can do and what we can achieve. But then there's some nuances that happen that allows us to believe that there is no racial war or there's no fight between races. But one of the biggest races is in the society between the races. And I know that sounds funny, but do you know that if you're a person and you go to apply for a job and your name is Abdul Khalifa Rahim, it ain't that you might not get the job, but chances are somebody without that name will be able to have a better chance of getting that job. Yeah. They look at these things because they automatically label you as a terrorist. Donald Trump is on this whole Muslim thing about terrorists and everything. So now in your mind, a good American, Muslims are terrorists, correct? Not in our minds because we understand better. But sociology deals with certain things that, in the video I was watching, this is the second part of the video. In the video I was watching, they said even the music you listen to doesn't come from your own free will. It comes from what's pressing, and they use, I forgot who they used. They used some kind of artist. It was a Eurocentric artist. Even a song, if a song that you have in your head, it was introduced to you by somebody else, and you played it, and it's a part of your life. That's a social influence. And it governs your mind. It plays a part on these intricate aspects of who we are. So why do we speak of this? Because this week hopefully I put together a strategic team for us to conquer this aspect of getting land. I'm getting people behind me that supports the vision, people that are all for it, and people that are that see the dire need of it. See, there's a difference. Anybody, why don't we have land now? Why are we not living in the community? We can't unite. Why we can't unite?
Egos.
We don't want to.
Egos.
Selfish.
Trust. We comfortable in society.
Yep.
That's the main reason. In truth, majority of us inside this room do not believe in the God. And how do you determine who believes in God and who doesn't believe in God? If you believe in God, society will push you so far away that you will create your own society. See, religion is what we've been doing for the longest. And you don't need unity to get land. All you need is a couple people, 2 people. 2 families at best to get land. Do you know that Torah-based communities are almost a thing of the past? Torah-based communities used to be the broader aspect of Israelite communities. And they're slowly dying. They're almost not there anymore. Do you know that there is one actual standing Israelite community in America? Can anybody locate where it's at?
Chicago?
Nope. Well, it was one in Chicago. A standing Israelite community.
It's Ohio.
No.
No.
It's not in Ohio.
Okay.
We're talking about states.
States.
Okay. I know it was one in
Chicago was one.
In Ohio. No.
Chicago has completely, the Israelite community that used to be is nothing but abandoned houses now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forget.
There's nothing but abandoned houses. It's still there and it's still owned by Israelites. The one I'm talking about is in South Carolina. And it's an elder. They used to have 15 families that lived on land. But what happened was the generational divide. They tried to keep it into a traditional aspect where they didn't allow the youth to grow. And in that, the youth found their way outside and found themselves going into the world. So now in this community, it's still there, it's still houses, but there's only 2 families there. Because there has to be an actual cutoff and there has to be a growth. I was reading today inside of a magazine and an article, and they were dealing with PARASHAT Emor, which is the PARASHAT that we're dealing with today. And the Jews, the rabbis themselves, were tackling the biggest issue that they found to be the biggest issue of their time. What was that issue? Anybody can name this issue? The rabbis were tackling an issue that seemed to be the biggest issue and is plaguing their community.
The Torah?
You said generational division. That's one of them, but that's not what I'm speaking of.
Being infiltrated by the society around them.
Say it again?
Being infiltrated by the society around them.
Being infiltrated by the society around them. Now, what they said is that kids are being taught individualism and educated to be individuals instead of community, and they are taught religion is what? Superstition. So now the rabbi says in order to bridge the gap from superstition to actual application of the law, you have to show why the law is prevalent and why it's imperative. So they're dealing with the same thing, right? This is why you see us come up here and we come up with the scientific breakdowns, we come up with the autonomous breakdowns. These are something that they're going through. If you've ever been to a synagogue, what do you see in a synagogue as far as people?
White.
Old people. Where's the young people? They went off because society teaches individualism. I promise you that I'm not making this stuff up. This is something I actually studied this week. Everybody goes on their own, they do their own thing, they do what's right in their eyes, and religion is nothing but superstition that's passed down. And it's not that the children don't want religion. They want something that's a cosmic interpretation. They want a universal aspect of understanding where religion actually has that inside of it, but it's not being taught. So now the rabbis, and even Rambam dealt with this before. Rambam came up with a book called The Guide for the Perplexed. And in this book, he speaks to his Greek learning students and shows them why Torah is relevant. So now we have a society where Torah is only governed on, only being implemented on the Sabbath. Then you don't have a community. People are used to this. But the truth is, we all are scared to be on our own. What's some of the excuses you hear when you talk about unity or forming a community?
Jobs, money.
Jobs, money, people.
How we gonna do it?
How we gonna do it?
Who's the leader?
Who's gonna be the leader? Trust. Trust is, to me, and this is to me, no. It's the biggest fallacy on the planet. And the reason why I say that is because you live in a community and a society that guns down your children. Do you trust them?
Nope.
No, we don't. You trust them no matter what. No matter what. But trust has to be understood that if you are living in the community, there is a rule system that you have to abide by that is governed by who? Yeah. When you move into your house and you live, the place that you live now, did you go to every single house to ask them the question about what do they practice?
No.
Did you ask them about their sexual orientation? You did none of this. Why? The communities you live in now are not predicated upon trust. But when you talk about doing the laws of God, you put trust in it. Because society teaches you to question your own people. It teaches you to be skeptical of your own people. So when we say these things, we're talking about trust issues. We're talking about all the things that could go wrong, all this. And we've been in a society that has been murdering us for the last hundreds of years. You've been in a society that's been giving you poison. You eat their cereal.
Yeah.
And what's in their cereal?
Paint stuff.
Triphosphate.
Lead.
All that stuff. Triphosphate, which if it's not connected in the right compound is destructive. But you trust them. You still go to their markets. You go get their meat. And you know that meat, that thing that you see and you think is blood, that's not blood. That's dye.
Colorful.
That's not blood. Blood does not last that long and stay that color. That's dye.
Just that.
They put it in formula.
What? Yeah, if they got no seeds, then they ain't.
China pays America to disperse of all of their chemicals. You know what America puts the chemicals?
Food.
In the water and in the food.
That's right.
But we talk about trust. Let's stop it. All it takes is 3 families to say, in the next 6 months, we're going on land in the same area and we're going to build this land up.
Hallelujah.
That's all it takes, 3 families. And I'm asking, and I'm rooting for all of us to get it together. Let me tell you, I was brought up and I was different. I was a little different than my children today. Some of my children are growing into it more so now. But the law was everything to me when I was a child. It was. I watch my children today, they go outside fringes. I know why they don't want to wear their fringes like that. Because them fringes look raggedy. They don't care. But they wear their fringes, they put them on grudgingly. But when I was in school, the fringes was a thing to me. My fringes matched my garment, matched everything I was wearing. I had a love and a passion for certain things. But why is it not being pushed to these children, and why the children don't feel comfortable wearing fringes. Because guess what? They're not themselves. They everybody else in society. It'll take a homosexual rapper to influence you in order to tell you what you need to do. It'll take a homosexual rapper. You're not listening to me. It'll take a gay rapper in order for your child to be inspired to wear what he has to do. So allow a gay rapper to come in and start wearing fringes. Allow a rapper, period, to start wearing fringes. I'm not talking about gay where he all out of the closet. I'm talking about most of these rappers in the industry are gay. And that's what you're influenced by. But when I was growing up, it was a group of warriors. We were a group of brothers. We had people in our school wearing fringes so they wouldn't get beat up. We set the trends. We set the trades. We set the fashion, and we continue to do it.
Hallelujah.
We continue to do it. I'm telling you, the newest fashion that's coming out is about to be big. It's fringes all around the bottom of the garment. Watch me. Come to me in a year now. You're gonna be like, yo, you said it was coming. You said it was coming. Fringes on all the bottom of the garment is going to be the biggest trend in the next year.
Okay. Already ready.
It's going to be there. They already start pushing it.
Hallelujah.
Maybe then. Maybe then. Because you don't have a backbone to stand on your own. Maybe then you'll be influenced to be righteous enough to be the trendsetter.
Okay.
Instead of chasing trends. You got to think about this now. You got to realize that it's people that are becoming God. Now all of a sudden you're happy now because Kendrick says he got royalty in his DNA and he's a Hebrew. But you were being taught that. You were given a gift when you were a young child to know that that's what you were when you were a youth. You had this blessing a long time.
Hey.
We went shopping yesterday and we bumped into two Hebrew Israelites in 5 minutes. Lady came to us, she said, why are you wearing the strings? I said, because I'm a Hebrew Israelite. She said, what are those strings? I said, they're fringes. She said, you're a Hebrew? I said, yeah, I'm a Hebrew. And we was in a Jewish store. And she said, the black lady said, at least somebody know who we are, not these fake people. And she walked up, went back there, and she was like, hey, hi. She was, somebody whispers something to you, like, fake people. Oh, hey, how y'all doing? And walked off. There was another sister, she's like, we're waking up, we're waking up. Yes, we are waking up. Yes, we are waking up. Society is going to lead you to so much hardship and so much pain that you cannot deal with it. Take these lessons, allow them to go over your head, fall asleep on them, do whatever you will with them. You will learn when you get older that you should have listened. And this is what the song says. And this is what Proverbs says. It says, whoa, I should have listened in my youth to the lessons of my youth.
Dang.
It said it. Because you think so much about the society and how great and wonderful it is. How good could a society be when their president is Donald Trump? And this is not a dictatorship. He wasn't handy. He wasn't the son of a president and made him president. He was voted in as president. That don't tell you something about the society? I don't tell you about the society. But would you listen to Donald Trump came over here and talk about the Torah?
No.
Why?
Because he's a dictator.
He's a dictator. Why? He's evil.
Yeah. He's
right? But the Torah is supposed to be what governs you. That's why we have to have a community. And since we're talking about us moving closer together, we have to. We have to be around each other. This is something that we need. And I am tired of speaking of this. Because that's what's going to happen. If it don't happen, then your children are going to leave.
Yeah.
They're going to leave. They're going to leave. Imagine the bitterness of a mother to see their child off not doing this way of life. Of a father, I can't even fathom it. I don't even know what to say. I might say something up here that I can't take back. I know the laws of God are true. I know that we're a special group of people. I know what we've been through. Ain't no way in hell That this society could tell me they love me and they did all of this to me, and I'm not looking for us to govern ourselves.
Exactly.
Ain't no way in the world. This system is too easy to be manipulated. You don't believe me? Ask a 15-year-old Nigerian boy who opened up a damn medical clinic.
Exactly. Great news.
Yeah.
Making money. And it took them a long time to be able to shut this boy down. And then he went to jail. And guess who reached out to him in jail? Who said that? Anali. Facebook. Facebook reached out to that boy. They wanted to hire him. You know what he did? He turned it down. And he opened his own Nigerian Facebook, and now he's a billionaire. Almost close to making billions. Why? Because he knew that these corrupt people, see, Nigerians are different, and this is a blessing. I was talking to a Nigerian brother the other day. Just yesterday, we went out, and my Isha had to go do something out on downtown. And the guy that was helping him was Nigerian. So I was telling him I'm a Hebrew. He was like, I already know. He's like, we the 12 tribes. The Nigerian brother, he was like, we the 12 tribes. He's like, I was like, you know, Nigerians are smart. He said, we look down on this system. The system's so easy to pick apart, you can read through it.
Yep.
He said, you can read through it. That's why Nigerians come over here and do whatever because they know the system. They know the system. And he said, that's what Hebrews do. This is what he said. He said, they don't know we the 12 tribes. That's why we're able to do this. And I'm like, dang, well, we need to know this. We need to manipulate the system. We need to understand that this is a broken system anyway. And we got to come together. Yah was definitely beautiful. Let's go to Deuteronomy 6:4. You need light? Can you plug that in for me? It doesn't work? Yeah, turn on like this. And my lesson today is a short one that I will get into, but hopefully it can help you in life and help you move forward and help you build.
Got it.
You ready? All right, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hear, O Israel. Jehovah our God, Jehovah is one, you know. You shall love Jehovah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your resources. These matters that I command you today shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them thoroughly to your children. You shall speak to them while you sit in your home, while you walk on the way, when you retire, when you rise. Bind them on a sign upon your arm, and let them be your ordinance between your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house, upon your gates. It shall be, when Jehovah your God brings you to the land which Jehovah swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, to give you great and goodly cities which you did not build. Houses filled with every good thing that you did not build. Chisels that you did not chisel. Orchards and olive trees which you did not plant. You shall eat and be satisfied. Wherefore you forget Wherefore you forget Jehovah who took you out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery. Hashem your God shall you fear. Him shall you serve, and his name shall you swear by. You shall not fall after other gods, or the gods of people that are around about you. But jealous God is Jehovah your God. Among you, let's go after Jehovah your God. Will flare against you and destroy you from the face of the earth.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let's go to Exodus 20.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Elohim spoke all these statements, saying, I am Jehovah your God, who had taken you out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery. You shall not recognize the gods of others in my presence. You shall not make yourself a carving image, nor any likeness which is in heavens above, or in the earth below, or in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not prostrate yourself to them, nor worship them. For I, Jehovah your God, a jealous God, who visits the sins of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations, for my enemies. But those who show me kindness for the 1,000th generation, to those who love me, observe my commandments. You shall not take the name of Jehovah your God to in vain. But Jehovah will not absolve anyone who takes his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat day to sanctify it. 6 days shall you work and accomplish all your works. But the 7th is the day of Shabbat to Jehovah your God. You shall not do any manner of work. You, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your animal, and your convert and your gates. For 6 days you will make the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that it is. You rested on the 7th day. Therefore, Jehovah, bless the Sabbath day, and sanctify it. Honor your father and mother, so your days will be lengthened upon the land that Jehovah gives you. You shall not kill, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your fellow, you shall not covet your fellow's house, you shall not covet your fellow's wife, his manservant, his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your fellow. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let's go Psalms 92.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The psalm for this Sabbath day. It's a good thing to give thanks to Jehovah, to sing praise to his name, the exalted one, to relate your kindness in the dawn and your faithfulness in the nights, upon a 10-string instrument, and upon a lyre, with string accomplished by the harp. But you have gladdened me, Jehovah, with your deeds. At the works of your hand, I sang glad songs. How great are your deeds, Hashem? Exceedingly profound are your thoughts. A bored man now know. Sleep out. A bored man cannot know, nor can a fool understand this. When the wicked bloom like grass, all the doers of iniquity blossom. It is to destroy them till eternity. But you remain exalted forever, Jehovah. For behold your enemies, O Hashem, for behold your enemies shall perish. Dispersed shall be all doers of iniquity, who shall raise my pride as a reim. I was saturated with ever fresh oil. My eyes have seen my vigilant foes. When those who will harm me rise up against me, my ears have heard. A righteous man will flourish like a date palm, like a cedar in Lebanon. He will grow tall, planted in the house of Jehovah, in the courtyards of our Elohim. They will flourish, and they will be fruit of old age. Vigorous and fresh they will be, to declare that Jehovah is just, my rock, whom there is no wrong. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Blessed be the King. We're going to get into this week's portion, but I want to ask a question. Also in sociology, there's a thing called structural functionalism, right? And it's what certain parts of society has put in society so society can run as a whole, right? And structural functionalism, you have families. Families play a part in society to do what? Bring up the children, raise them, right? And teach and instill in them certain things. Religion is to do what?
Spiritually guide them.
Spiritually guide them. Government is to do what?
Control them, the masses.
Control the masses, right? So we see these actual aspects in our understanding, and we have to realize that theoretically we believe like they do because we separate religion with government. So in truth, there is no separation between religion and the government in our belief system, because our Torah is our government. And that's fine, but everybody answered because that's the truth. That is what they consider, that's what sociology considers structural functionalism. They separated, and we also separated, which we have to stop doing. So in our mind, we have to realize that guess what? When you sign on to a congregation or a temple, this temple is going to govern you. You can't have that mentality, ain't nobody judge me but God. Me and my house, we're going to do whatever we want. That's not what we do here. You have to stop that and watch how we come together and be so strong and so powerful as a unit. All right. So let's go to this week's portion, which you will find in Vayikra, which is Leviticus 21. Vayikra 21. And how much you think you know the scriptures, you don't know the scriptures, everybody should be able to go there and read over it because it's imperative as a nation to understand the law. See, even if your children don't stop completely doing law, their spirit is not going to be there for long because it has no purpose. We haven't given it a purpose. In society governs us. What do we need? Some scripture principles to govern us. Do you see how easy this stuff doesn't work? It doesn't work unless you put it in the context where God describes it. I'm gonna share something with you. I was raised up in a place called Lincoln Place. Lincoln Place. And on Lincoln Place, every Israelite I almost knew lived on this block. One block. One block. It was actually 2 blocks, we say, but on this 2 blocks from Lincoln and Ralph, all the way down to Lincoln and where Eastern Parkway clips it off, we had nothing but Hebrew Israelites in the community. So much so that people that wasn't Hebrew Israelites adapted to the culture of Hebrew Israelites and eventually became what? Hebrew Israelites. You know, when you got your boy hanging around you and he eating that pork and eventually he stopped eating that pork, he's coming. Because we established the cultural influence. Let me show you what happened to this nation. The biggest mistake my father said they made is they let Arabs come by the corner store. That's one mistake. Because guess what? The Arabs come in, they're making money off the community instead of the community making money off themselves. We used to have to travel. If you ever been in New York, you have to either go to a place called Kingston to go get something kosher. So you have to go outside your community to eat something that's worthy of you eating. Does that make sense? How is that possible? That corner store should have been a place where we made food where people can come and eat. So we got to go into not just a store because it's in Kingston. No, this is a Jewish community. They understand the principal aspects. Every time you go to a Jewish pizza shop, they're always packed. They're packed. They know what they want. They want to eat their food. They got to support their community. If you go to Druid Hill, anybody been to Druid Hill? Yes. Druid Hill has a bookstore opened in 2017 because they understand the importance of having their own. But why did I say open in 2017? Anybody seen the Barnes and Nobles lately?
No, they closed them down.
They closing down. Why? Everything's electronic. You don't need that no more. You're gonna download this, you get this, order this from Amazon. It's cheap on Amazon. But they purposely kept that open because they knew it was a necessity to have these places open in their community. You ever go to the Jewish community because you think they're rich, that they pay more for their stuff? They pay more for their stuff because they understand where it's going in their community. Let's say Lavana opens up a supermarket and she got ground beef. Ground beef is probably $1.99 a pound. Lavana's is $2.29 a pound. Now, Lavana may not be able to get all the stuff that they're able to get for that price. Why? Because she doesn't have that many people supporting her. Why do you think Walmart gets everything cheap? It's because they're ordering in so much bulk. The higher up you order it, the cheaper and cheaper you get it. Have you ever seen, you notice that Walmart is actually banned from rural areas? Yeah. They'll protest before they allow a Walmart to come into their community because Walmart does what? It wipes out all the local businesses. All the mom and pop shops are gone. People protest Walmart from coming into their community because they know what it does to their community. So all of a sudden, I share with you, my mother, her name is Emor, one of my mothers, Emor Deborah. My father supported her and took care of her while she went to well, if you don't know, I have 4 mothers. So one of them was Emor Deborah, and my father took care of her while she went to school. She went to school and became a nurse, and every sister that was on that block went to school. You know what happened to that community? Everybody moved away out the community and moved into a better, bigger places where they thought, but really across the street was the same kind of houses. But they moved out of the community because education does that to you. It teaches you individualism. So as an individual, nobody's seen the sanctity of all of us living on the same block. Now in New York, a block is powerful. You remember block parties? A block party means you cut off your block so you can party. You go to the top of the block and the bottom of the block and put all these cones there. Don't let nobody in, nobody out, because y'all gonna party tonight. Now that's the power. That's the power we had as a group. We remember anytime there was a lady was getting robbed on our block. She said, Israelites, she came running, Israelites, such being robbed. All the Israelites came out of there and stopped the brother from robbing, took him out, beat the guy, kicked him off the block. She wasn't an Israelite. But we policed our own community. There was never a police car seen on Lincoln Place coming to deal with an Israelite issue. Because we governed our own. But then we started spreading and separating because individualism is a monster. It's a monster. It's what America teaches. And I tell you this, the same thing. Anybody know the biggest threat to America was what Sister was talking about earlier was Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street. They had everything. They had everything. They had their own banks. They had their own businesses. They had their own supermarkets. Own doctors, everything. You know what America did to Black Wall Street? No, children. You know what America did to Black Wall Street? Yeah, you heard it. Somebody say. They bombed it. They bombed a completely civilized place. Why?
Jealousy.
Because they knew that blacks was actually thinking the right way, coming together. You know, if you go to Fairburn, there's a Mexican supermarket. None of this can come in your community if you stand up and you support your own. You have to have that belief. I mean, Polite is the biggest Hebrew Israelite pastor in the world, so to think, you know, but he really loves Hebrew Israelites. Yeah. And he said, the thing about Jews, because in one brother he's bashing Hebrew Israelites, he said the Jews allow their money to circulate 7 times in their community. He said because it's taught in their teachings. What's their teachings? Torah. You're supposed to support your own. And it's not just, oh, sometimes we support our own. Support your own because it creates your own businesses. My children, I'm glad, a lot of them, they're going out and they're getting jobs, right? And I'm glad, I'm glad because it's a learning process. The job world is always a good thing. Inspired to work, but also it's going to teach you that you really going to, at the end of it, want what? Work for your own. You know how it is, how many managers you got and they telling you different things and one manager don't like the other manager. It's a bunch of goofy stuff going on in there and it's a bunch of calamity and everybody want to be the leader. Because you got a bunch of black people that want their own, but they don't know how to have their own. Harlem. Same thing that happened in Lincoln Place. Harlem. Harlem was the black-owned Mecca. Anybody know how Harlem lost Harlem? Crack. Crack was one of them.
Drugs being imported.
Drugs played a major role, but the most major role, mostly when people started to make it, they started sending their kids to college. When they send their kids to college, they instead of the everything that was owned by the family, it's like perfect example. Okay, Mario, you own the shoe shop. Ishmael, you own the supermarket. I own the stereo shop, whatever. Electronic shop. Right? Now my children, we send them to college, and they come back and they do what? They sell a shop. Why? So they can work in the corporate world. So what happens is, instead of the children coming back with their education, enhancing the family businesses, they work for corporations outside of America, which left the mom and pop stores to eventually close down. When there is no support of business in your community, the community is going to die rapidly. Now, ask anybody, I'm a fool when it comes to that. When it comes to supporting our own, I'm pissed if I see that we have it in our community and somebody else goes somewhere else. I have a hatred for you. And I have to learn how to curb it. I'm sorry. That's just the way I am, because there is no Torah-based community if you don't support your own people. I am sorry. It's just a ministry that people are teaching some fabrication about who God is and what God is about. I hate it. And that's why I stand. I hate communities that don't talk about going together on land. If you're not talking about forming an Israelite community, please leave this belief alone. and I don't care for your opinion, I don't care for what you got to say, I hate you. Something I got to work on. But I'm tired of us beating up ourselves because I have to hate something that hates us. You may not say you hate black people, but everybody in here has a degree where they hate black people. I hate anti-black people.
Yeah.
It's called, in psychology and sociology, it's called self-fulfilled prophecy. When you say black people ain't no good, they ain't this, they ain't that, then you're actually help fulfilling the prophecy of black people not being good. Yeah, our black people are temporarily down, but we can change the paradigm. What's paradigm?
The shift of
The model of a way a person thinks. So teaching black communities where black people are going to get divorced, they're going to get separated, that's a paradigm. So people have that feel about everybody in the black community, and we do too. Because we're living through it and we're doing the same thing over and over again. So I want us to work together. If there's anybody that loves community, that loves Torah, like I do and like many others do, does that mean that I'm perfect? I'm the farthest thing from perfect, and so is anybody in here. But we have to create conditions where people can become perfect or strive to perfection. So this week's PARASHAT is Emor. And the PARASHAT says a lot in itself because usually it's Daber. Daber is speaking to the children of Israel, which is more of a seem like a more aggressive form. But sometimes there is a time when you got to speak and there's a thing that you have to say. After the death of Aharon's sons, after everything is going on, God decides to put the spirit inside of Moses to give the priests some rules and regulations, but say it to them. Because disposition is very gentle to the world. Leadership is not easy. It isn't. It's one of the most painful jobs that you can have. It's actually an extra curriculum or a second job that doesn't have no benefits and don't pay. It doesn't. It shouldn't be like that, but it is the way we think and it's how we are, and that's where we at right now. But this portion has so much beauty in it because God allows us to see, and he has concessions for us as human beings because he knows the paradigm of our thoughts. He knows where we at and how we think and how we're taught to think. So he makes concessions for us. And that's the beauty of our beautiful God. So let's start off with chapter 21.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hashem said to Moses, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and tell them, each of you shall not contaminate yourself to a dead person among his people, except for the relative who is close to him.
All right, so let's go to the next slide. And I want to start off before we go into that. All right, next slide. That's the next slide? Yeah. All right, so next slide. Yeah, I got you. All right. If you notice anything about me, I do certain things on purpose. You notice I've been talking about the Hebrew lately, right? In Hebrew, Hebrew or Pyru. I do this so it can be beat inside of your head, right? Who are the Hebrews? Turn back to the screen. Turn back to the first screen. Who are the Hebrews? Anybody raise a hand, please? Show me you pay attention. You can.
The Hebrew are ancient Semitic people that kind of journey into Mitzrayim.
All right, ancient Semitic people that kind of journeyed into Mitzrayim came. Okay. Anybody else?
We know that they help them build a lot of pyramids.
Pyru helped them build the pyramids, right? Anybody else? Okay, this is good. It's okay, but now you get a chance to actually pay more attention, right? Let's go to the next slide. If you notice, I always talk about the Hebrew. Hebrew are the Hebrews. They are the proto-Hebrew Israelite group. If you're looking for information about the Hebrews, you have to look up the Apirus or Hebrews. You're not going to find it on the Hebrew. Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. And everybody's like, ain't no ancient Hebrew group. Ain't no Hebrew Israelite. Ain't no Hebrew Israelite. All right? Because there was a group called the Hebrew. If you know anything about Torah, Torah plays on the word. And Ebed is a word that means crossover, but Hebrew has many different connotations. All right, the Hebrew are related And you say, why that says Hapiru and this says Habiru? It's confusing, right? The B and the P is interchangeable in Afro-Asiatic languages. So some places you might go buh, some places might go puh. All right, it happens in language. All right, somebody didn't have a seizure.
It was fine.
All right, I got it. Were the Hapiru are related to the ancient Hebrews? This is a perfect question for biblical anthropologists. The short answer is yes. The Hapiru are all the oldest caste of ruler priests from which emerged the Hebrews. So they were ancient ruler priest class. Those are the Most High saying, you shall be a priest unto the nations. Right? Your scriptures aligns with your scriptures aligns with historical aspects of who we are. Most High said, you shall be a priest to the nations. These people were an ancient ruler priestly class. The Hapiru served in the ancient temples and shrines. These were built near major sources of water. Remember, we spoke about this before, but it's okay to go over things so you can be educated. I don't want people schooling you and you looking silly that you don't even know your own history. Don't tell me you're a Hebrew Israelite and you don't know who Hapiru or Hapiru. That means you don't know your own history, and let these white people continue to tell you who you are. That's like somebody coming to your house, you know grandma? I don't know grandma. Grandma? Who grandma? Know your history. All right? The Hayit, or house Piru of God, the Hapiru refers to those who serve at the temple or shrine. So the ancient Hebrew groups, as you see with our father Abraham, when you see that his father was what? A priest. And he was in the idol worshiping because they didn't understand the aspect of God. So the word is found amongst the ancient Dravidians, who referred to their east-orientated temple as Opiru, meaning sun house. So now these people had east-orientated temples, right? Now you see a word Dravidians. Anybody besides Mario know who the Dravidians are? Anybody know what the Dravidians are? All right. Anybody have a body dharma, a booty dharma? The martial artist that came from Africa into Asia and taught the martial arts, he was a Dravidian. Now, one thing about the Dravidians are almost like a Cushite breed. Yeah. They're very dark, but there's something different about the Dravidians that make them different than other blacks. What is it? What feature makes them different?
Their hair.
What happened to their hair?
It was straight.
The hair is straight. So Dravidians are black, pitch black people. This is where you get your Australians, Aborigines. This is where you get all of them Dravidian people that come out of the horns of Africa, similar to the Hebrew Israelites. All right, go ahead to the next slide. All right, I go down a little bit. All right, the Habiru priests were dispersed widely across the ancient world in the service of great kings. Another hint, the Hebrews at the service of great kings. Were they dispersed through the world?
Yeah.
Do you remember Daniel? Do you remember Joseph? Do you remember all of this? All right. At times and places, some Habiru allowed themselves to be influenced by people with an inferior moral code. Let me read that again. At times and places, some Habiru allowed themselves to be influenced by peoples with an inferior moral code. Are we being inferior? Are we being influenced by people with an inferior moral code?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Me and my wife was watching Survivor this week, and it was the funniest thing. Your Survivor, all these shows can get you caught up, right? They can have you believe in stuff that you don't even believe. So in Survivor, there's 3 gay guys. Now, Maisha pointed it out because she's seen the episode before, but I didn't really catch up because I wasn't really paying too much attention. But I knew it was a guy. One of the guys was gay because he was in the other episode. And one of the gay guys felt that he about to get kicked off. Right? So his back's against the wall. You know, if you know anything about Survivor, they have a thing called tribal council. And tribal council is where you plead for your life. And they don't vote you off and you try to throw somebody else under the bus to try to get them off. And it causes a distraction where you're saved. And he's basically like, all y'all alliances are fake. He's like, I thought that we were all down because you have different groups. They team up. You got like 5 and 6 sometimes. It's like cliques. So in it, people thought they were gonna vote him off, and he said these groups are fake. They're training people to backstabbing, and this guy right here, his name is Zeke. He said, and I'm gonna tell you how he's deceptive. Now, this is a gay guy saying it. He said because Zeke never told you he was a transgender, and people were shocked at first. They were like, "Whoa, dang!" And then they were like, "That's wrong! Oh my God, that's so wrong! Why would you tell his business?" He's just like, "No, I'm just telling you. If he could deceive you about that, then he could deceive you about a lot of stuff," which makes sense. But you know, ain't no way in the world you getting away with that in America. So now we realize that these things are actually happening where we're making it morally correct or offensive to basically tell the truth about an individual. In our society, transgenders bathrooms, you're going to have transgender bathrooms. In 2018, you're going to see these transgender bathrooms popping up all over the place. Is that enough to make you feel like you want your own community?
Oh, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
A transgender bathroom. You know,
And
and then in truth, guess what? The transgender bathroom is not going to work.
No.
Because the transgenders ain't going to want that. Because they're not going to want to what?
Be outcast.
Be outcasted or labeled. That's what the guy said. I want to be known as Zeke. Not as such and such, such and such. Just Zeke. And we are starting to accept these things. So this immoral code, we have to watch out. Please do research on the Hebrew rules. Hebrew rules will only, and this is where you get your law from 6 years of Hebrew Israelite who can work as a servant. They will actually hire themselves into society and work, but they won't work no longer than 6 years in society. Yeah. Because that was too much of an influence for them. Okay.
Is there a difference between the Hebrew and the Hyksos?
Yeah, the Hyksos is the both of them are not actually. Both of them are not actually a group of people. It's a cast of people. It's like the Hyksos is just shepherd kings. So the Israelites were a part of Hyksos. Israelites are a part of Hebrew. But Hebrews, the Hebrews that left out were what? A mixed multitude. So it was more of a caste system instead of a nationality. So when you say Hebrew, Hebrew is more of the caste system, the social caste you're in, and Israelite is more the nationality. All right? So this is called syncretism. Remember that. Syncretism is the amalgamation or attempted amalgamation of different religions, cultures, or schools of thoughts. So what happened is we're actually being Hebrew Israelites by blending in other schools of thought. And I tell you the truth, the more and more I study my way of life and study the history, I realized that even as strict as my parents were and the groups that I came up in, they were actually more Christian based than anything. Because a lot of it was a lot of it actually in truth was more Christian based because that's where we're coming out of it. So you cannot separate Christianity and Hebrewism when you understand that that's actually what you're coming out of, because you're coming from a mindset of Christians. So we're reading the Bible as religion. So it was cool for us to initially to come out and say, hey, let's have our little Torah service on Sabbath and we go back to our communities. That's cool for the 80s, the 90s. That was a stage. It is 2000. What are we going to do different and better? What are we going to do different and better? So remember this word, syncretism. It explains everything that's going on with the Hebrew Israelite community now. Right? And a lot of us, because we came in this from a rabbinical approach, we've seen how the Jews were racist towards us, so we threw everything that was Jewish or rabbinical away. That is another thing that's wrong. You cannot hate rabbinical thoughts or Judaism and say it's all this is from the European Jew. That's not true. You cannot counterattack racism with racism. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. That is not who you are. So that sounds Jewish. That's what people say when they don't understand something. I'm not down with that Jewish stuff. We have to realize that our forefathers, maybe you might not agree with some of the stuff they wrote, but they wrote that. All right? Like the priest kings of the old Kohanim were still are secular rulers of the Jews in the shadows. Now listen to this. These priest rulers held powers of life and death. They married into select Kohanim families, the life and death part we don't go into, into select Kohanim families and learned to practice to service to kings and noblemen. In modern times, old established Kohanim families like the Rothschilds, the Goldsmiths, etc., still rule the Jews and manipulate the Gentiles. Now, in truth, some of the stuff is said is true and some of it's false, right? Because we know the Rothschilds and all of them are not really Hebrews. Now, they are Hebrews from the aspect that they are Edomites. They'll have Edomite blood, and I know you say they're white. How are they Edomites? There's some of them have Edomite blood. If you know the Edomites, when the Edomites and Israel was destroyed, they went into Rome. And they assimilated, and they became part of a syncretism and amalgamated into their system. So now, who rules the world? Rothschild, Goldsmith, and they manipulate the world, or they control or have the massive influence over the world. Whose job is that actually? Ours. They call the Illuminati. That means to illuminate. That means, y'all said we're supposed to be the light unto the nations. Is that not illumination? But we take this word because we see negativity coming from it. But it's our job as individuals. We're supposed to be the ones we're supposed to be in office. We're supposed to be influencing everything. And we have that power. Guess what? If black people stood up and said, you know what? Trump, we'll let you be president if you give us this and that. And they say, Trump will say, all right, I'll give you this and that if we have power, if we have unity. Now, the problem with Israelites is they don't have a leader. Because the leader makes the what? The decisions. So everybody, one group say no, one group say yay, one group say nay, one group say this. If we had the power, if we knew our power, we could dictate whoever is president and president across the world. You would go to them and you say, you know what? Donald Trump, we allow you to be president if you get us back into the land.
Okay.
And he was like, well, I don't know. Well, you don't have our vote. And all the black people, and we say, the leader of the black people say, we're not voting for him. If black people didn't vote for Trump, Trump wouldn't be in office. Now, I know you think that. None of my people voted for Trump. Yeah, a lot of black people voted for Trump. Because Trump represents religion. So your conservative blacks who love religion and still believe in the church, they're going to vote according to the church. So now this is enough about the Habiru, but or Apiru. So you're gonna say Habiru, Apiru, or Apiru. Remember that. Anybody ask you that that's the ancient Israelites? That's the proto-Hebrew group. Next slide. All right. Now, Numbers 16:48 says, and he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed, right? So it says that the priests, and ancient shamans believe the same thing. They believe that the priests were the representation that stood between the living and the dead. Now, in this portion this week, God says that you're not, the priest shouldn't defile himself for the dead. Either it has to be his mother, his father, his brother, or his sister who is not married, who wasn't married. Now that's important. That's a powerful lesson. We're gonna go into that too. So now we realize that, dang, why they can't only these people? Why the priests just can't be a part of death? Because, and the funny thing about it, Saturday night I came in after I got in for work. I woke up and it was on Oxygen Channel, and I felt, like, listen. I woke up holy. It was a white guy on it, and he was talking about the power of death. And I was like, man, I'm sitting there listening, you know what I mean, get my mind right. Well, it led me to meditate, you know what I'm saying? It led me to do things because it was something powerful. Now, there's a big problem with death amongst our community. How many people are scared to die? Don't lie. Yeah, how many people fear death?
I fear it, but not.
All right, some people ain't gonna admit it. Some people, I ain't scared of death. Y'all take a bullet to the face right now. I headbutt that bullet. No problem. I headbutt that bullet. Y'all killers. I know. Next slide. All right. So now this says making peace with death. That's the name of the article. Check it out when you get a chance. Make a peace with death. The person will rub you the wrong way because they're very blunt and they downplay death. Like, come on, get over it. Right? But there's some stuff that's actually saying. It says, I feel a great compassion, not for those who die, but rather for an inherently broken way we're socially conditioned to view death. Mm-hmm. Now, death is given to us and is taught to us like it is the worst thing on the planet. This is why even when Moses pleaded, he said, this is too much for you. That's too much for you. Every person has to understand that death is a beautiful part of life. Guess what? And if you refuse to deal with it, like people run, I say, hey, one of the things I always do is I prepare myself for my parents' death. I prepare myself for my parents' death so I can be able to condition and deal with it when it comes. And one of the best things that I've ever done in my life that changed my life to understand death is one, I was asked, I don't know if you heard of the Hebrew Dead Society community. I think it's called the Dead Society community. It's a Hebrew Israelite group led by a brother named TORAH, and they bury the dead. So when somebody died, they're actually the ones to clean up the body, which is very imperative because guess what? When your loved one dies, they just throw the body in the room. And then other people are in the room with this body. You got like your mother will be sitting right there, and somebody else is cleaning the body. They talking, girlfriend, you know what? There's boom, 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 boom. The mom leg come on out, and just keep on. And they push it to the side. They just shove them to the side. They treat the body with no respect, no respect. So when there was a brother named Shalem, his father had passed, and they needed people to clean the body. Now in my mind, I said, I am never cleaning a dead body in my life. In my life. First of all, I don't even go to funerals. And one reason I don't go to funerals is because I conduct myself like a priest in some aspects. And so if you ever see me at a funeral, you used to see me outside the door, or I'm really not going in, or if I went in, it's because I was ordered to go in. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's how I feel. I just stay away from that, and I try to remain close to the Creator. Even I practice, even in my life, I practice some abstinence in a lot of forms because of the uncleanliness that goes along with that. But when this person died, I was told that I had to clean the body, and as a child, I thought I'd never do this. And then so now I pull up to the funeral home. And you know, everything going through your mind. Oh my goodness, you're gonna be in this dark dungeon-like room, cleaning. There's gonna be bones and skeleton. You know, your mind is just gonna just run off and give you all these concepts and ideas that's far-fetched. So I go in there. It's a small room, and it's a body behind us. And the body we gotta clean. And I see the elder, and it doesn't look like the elder at all. And we start, and you can tell the embalming fluid is coming out the nostrils, it's coming out the mouth. Like if you push down, you can see it'll come out. So when you get in there, and the fear goes away. You start cleaning the body. You got the bowl, you got the thing. You know, you don't want it to smell, so you clean the body. And I've had to pick up the arm and get under the arm. But when you ever pick up an arm, you know how that arm feels. You can feel the arm is dead. It's like your arm when it falls asleep. It's the same exact feeling just from you touching it and picking it up. So you almost can feel the death of this person. So you're like, wow, okay, cool. So I backed up. I was like, damn, I can't believe I'm doing this. Ooh. A foot poked me from another dead body of somebody that got shot. So they tell them, oh, that's somebody that got shot. Their parents coming in to view the body in a little bit, just push it to the side, put the foot back on there. I'm not putting his foot back in there. So when I came out of it, I came out with a different understanding of life because I knew that dead person isn't the person. I had a funeral I did, and a sister named Emor, she was a part of our congregation. She was one of my close friends. And it's always, as a leader, this always weighs on my heart, and I would never let it go. Naomi was willing to buy the community and put it in her name. And she said, I'm always having seizures and stuff like that, and one day I can pass. And she kept on saying, let's all move together. And I kept on, we're going to do it. That's my goal. And I just didn't have the right support behind me, right? And eventually she had a seizure, she hit her head, and she died. I would never let that go. And this is what people don't understand. Being an Israelite leader, you have people's hands in your life. Life in your hands, my bad. You have their life in your hands. This is not something small. And I did her funeral, and I had to catch myself, and then you know how they had the open casket, and I went over there and I said, that's not Naomi. That's not her. Something else. This body is not you. That's not my friend. I don't care. I felt good now. That's not my friend. My friend is somewhere else. That's how my mom said, that's not my friend. So I started to view death differently. I always, as a young child, and maybe some of you had the same feelings, I always thought I was going to die young anyway. I just always had this feeling. So in it, there was a form of acceptance that I started to have. So it talks about viewing death. We're taught to root ourselves to the temporary, the perfect recipe for guaranteed suffering. So now we believe that this is all our lives. We believe that this is all we have. This is it. So everything that's physical, we put our all in. We put our all in. And anybody in here watch Star Wars?
Sure.
All right. Yoda makes a statement, and this is what, and my people, sometimes my family don't understand why I watch this stuff. I watch it because of the spiritual connotation to everything that underlies it.
Oh, it's deep.
No,
It's
it's
deep.
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars is deep.
I watched the whole movie just to hear him talk. And he said, he told Anakin Skywalker was angry
Oh, yes.
because he lost his parents. And he said, you have to get rid of the fear of loss. And I said, wow. He said, because out of the fear of loss becomes anger. Out of anger becomes depression. Out of depression comes suffering. And then comes pain. All of the fear of loss. So we put too much stock in this temporary life. Because sometimes we believe, even if we are the highest people in the world and we believe spirituality, there is a big question mark after death. But when you understand that the spirit goes back into the creator,
Yes. Dang.
you know that there's a temporary aspect of who we are. So when the Oxygen Channel man was on there, I don't know his name, I gotta check it out. But when he was on there, he said this. He said, death adds value to life. Without death, then life has no value. So you have to accept them both. How do you know to love your wife? How do you know to care for your wife? How do you know that you got to change soon unless you believe that death can happen to all of us? When somebody dies in your life, it isn't the fact that they died, it's regret that you have on what you should have and could have done while they're here. Now, you ever watch Scared Straight when they bring the kids? Now, one of the things they bring the kids into the prison, and my kids talk all this junk that they wouldn't even be worried or scared, which I probably believe them. But the truth is, one of the greatest things they did is they had the children's mother lay in a coffin and they came in the room. And when them kids seen their mother in the coffin, they changed their life. They changed their life. They started crying. They knew she wasn't dead. It's just the look of my mother dying that added value to who she is to them children. So now it's death that actually gives you the value in life. So the priests seen this, they understood it. They didn't see it as the end of everything because they were the ones who stood between life and death. People suffer from death because they put too much attachment to the physical world. And if you believe in a God, then you understand that everything that we try to become and everything we try to ascend to be is one with God. And at times when people die, they have that opportunity to go back to that creator. So keep that in mind. The priest wasn't supposed to rent their clothes, unsure their head. They dealt with death differently because in their practice, they understood death. They understood that this is only a temporary vessel. Now, anybody know what sleep apnea is? Sleep apnea. I have sleep apnea too. Sleep apnea is when you wake up and you can't breathe. When you go to sleep, it almost stops you from breathing. You wake up out of your sleep because you're catching your breath. How scary is that? And in my dream, my breath is winding down. I know my breath is depleting from me in my dreams, and I'm going through me losing my breath in my dream until it gets to the point where I have to wake up. And there's a lot of other things that comes along with it. But in it, you kind of experience death. And this is what people who commit suicide, these people that commit suicide, they realize that there's a lot of suffering in this world and they just want peace. They're trying to look for the tranquilness in life. But finding the tranquilness in life is not having the ability to not beat yourself up of your flaws. And a lot of y'all are suffering, and a lot of us are suffering now because we still did something bad that we never forgave ourselves for. It's okay to forgive yourself. Don't live in the shame of it. Live in the power to grow from it. The book says, again, a righteous man falls, it says a man falls 7 times, but a righteous man rises 7 times. Paraphrase. But understand that in being righteous, there is failures that you have to adjust. All right? So now it goes, these physical lives are supposed to be temporary. In case you haven't noticed, there are no permanent humans. We have to accept it. There are no permanent humans. There's only a few that we see in the scriptures, and they walk with God, and they probably left their physical body, right? The billions of bodies that walk the earth today are all mortal. Some may delay their death, maybe for a seemingly long time, but it's a safe bet that the eternity will win out at the end. So you're all going to die, right? We accept that?
Yes.
You accept that, right? There's no reason to have fear for it. Teach your children. You have to teach your children to accept death. Because guess what? Somebody dying can end up in somebody else's life. You ever seen an old person lose their lover? That old person can't wait to die. Yeah, they die right. They can't wait. They ready to go. It's you going, partner? I'm ready to go too. And the guy did a survey, and he said, do you know that almost 65% of people have accepted death? They asked the question, they said, if you could live forever, would you? 65 people said what? No. Now I ask you the question, if you could live forever, would you?
In this society, no.
No, I would not. I would not. I enjoy the temporary aspect of life.
Hallelujah.
Most old people, they stay around for their loved ones. This society is torturous. To see oppressed people over and over again. Next slide. All right. I suspect that this attachment to temporary stems from the doubt over the continuity of life after death. If you had the experience Aaron and I have had, you wouldn't worry about it so much. It definitely takes some skill and practice to tune into them, but I have managed to do it myself from time to time. The number one factor is being able to relax your beliefs that it's impossible, and especially that it's impossible for you. The prevailing social views would encourage you to dismiss my perspective of death being insensitive, disassociated, or perhaps even psychopathic. Try to see that there's a deeper level of compassion at work here, though. So taking death lightly means that you're actually being compassionate. It's not that you're not caring about somebody. It's not that you're not worried about someone. It means that you're actually compassionate of what life really truly means. And that spirit that God breathed into man was already there. It just caused that vessel to be a living body. It just animated it. But it's there. That spirit, the word for spirit is what? Ruach.
Ruach.
It's wind. Because there's a spirit in the wind. When somebody asks you caught wind or something, They mean that something blew past you or something caught onto you, because sometimes these ideas, these concepts, and these feelings come out of nowhere. Right? All right, so I'm not trying to belittle emotional pain that people experience when their loved ones die. Rather, I'm suggesting that death itself is not the source of that pain. The source of that pain is the unhealthy attachment to that which is by definition temporary. We have an unhealthy attachment. An unhealthy attachment to something can cause everything to go away. You can love somebody so much and push them away. Because you're scared. You ever see somebody in a relationship scared to lose a person? And in turn, what are they doing?
Pushing them away.
Pushing them away. It's an unhealthy attachment to it. I only act this way because I love you, and I don't want to lose you. Well, in truth, we have to realize that that unhealthy attachment is not a good thing. We're all transitory, we're all temporary. This realization is a way to genuinely transcend the pain by uncovering a greater truth, not a futile attempt to hide behind a shield of denial. The shield of denial will never get you nowhere. Always confront your fears or things that bother you the most. Things that bother you the most, confront them. All right. Continue reading, baby.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Except for his relative who is close to him, to his mother, and to his father, to his son, to his daughter, to his brother, and to his virgin sister who is close to him, who has not been wed to a man. To her shall he be contaminated himself. A husband among his people shall not contaminate himself to one who desecrates him.
All right, so it says the husband should not contaminate himself to one who desecrates him. So let's say you have a wife. If your wife does something that she's not supposed to, you can't even defile yourself for her. Or anybody that has desecration, or anybody that does something unrighteousness. You cannot defile yourself for someone who is a desecration to the Creator. And this is what we have to realize, that we're a holy people. We just didn't go to everybody's funeral. We just didn't. No matter how much it hurt, no matter how much it is, you show your respect in the way you can at best. People are not going to understand that. How many of y'all have conflict with funerals because mostly everybody going to the church and the deacon is doing the sermon and you don't go and all your family hates you? But you have to be able to explain that to people and realize it. And guess what? Everybody's fight and their struggle is not the same thing. Because guess what? There's failures in life that even we go through and I've been through. Sister asked last week, she said, what about a parent that doesn't do law? And how are you supposed to listen to them, obey them? And my comment and my response was, you got to obey them no matter what. You got to be able to look past their sin. But that's easy coming from somebody that has both parents that supposedly do law. So this week, I was hit with something where I was put in the same position as a sister and I failed. But I had to learn from it. I had a belief, and my belief is that law is predicated on a community and a society, and that your children and all your children should be a part of that community that is delegated or put there for the aspect of the continuance of Torah. My mother challenged that by saying what she said and saying that the children have the right to select whatever they want to, and you can't stop them from doing it when they get a certain age, and that threw me off. But in it, my voice was raised, I got loud, I got angry, and I failed. So now, through this lesson, I have to realize that there's tests that's in life that's coming at you every day. Your test you are supposed to pass, or you will be going through the same test over and over again. A man could brag about not cheating on his wife if he never leave the house. There's a saying that says, a man is only as faithful as his options. Anybody ever heard that statement? Huh? Yeah. Do you understand that statement? Do you understand the statement?
Oh, yeah.
A man is only as faithful as his options. So your husband may not be cheating on you is because opportunity probably hasn't presented itself as much. He may have turned it down once or twice. But sometimes we have to deal with everything accordingly because it's easy for us to tell another person what to do, but when it's given to you and you're not used to it, it throws you off guard. It threw me off guard. My parent, I don't know about my parent about law. It threw me for a loop. But then in it, I had to realize that I am in sin and in error because even if I felt a certain way, it still has to be done with humble and meekness. But I allow that disdain and passion towards what I'm building. Like I said before, you have to work on these things. You can become so angry with society that you cannot function in society. And the Israelite that can't function in society is not going to be helpful for the nation. All right? Continue, son.
They should not make a bald spot on their head. They shall not shave the edges of their beard. On their flesh they shall not cut a gash. They shall be holy to their Elohim. They shall not desecrate the name of their Elohim. So
they should shave their head. So our priests, they go bald. You know what priests did? Sumerian priests, Egyptian priests. They found hair to be barbaric. But there's melanocytes inside of your hair that allow you to connect to a higher spiritual place. This is why you see Samson. Samson's name comes from the word Shemesh, which means sun. Samson means that which coming from the sun, dealing with solar energy. His whole part was never to cut his hair because your hair is, the melanocytes are receiving the solar energy that allow you to be more intuitive and closer to the divine creator. And that's why the vow of a Nazarite is taking place. But another thing about it is Israelites did not shave their beards. They did not cut off their beard. So you see this with the priests, and you also see this with the lesson we spoke about, I think it was last week, or the week before last, about destroying the edges of your beard. Meaning that you cannot remove it, you cannot desecrate it. There was a story in the scriptures where David sent two of his messengers to another king, to give him a message of mourning because he lost his father. And when he lost his father, the messengers came. He said, we apologize. The king was so angry, he ripped the clothes off them and had their buttocks exposed and shaved off half of their beards. So David, when they returned, David was angry, but he told the two men, go to the mountains until your beards grow back. Mm-hmm. So no matter how much society, and I used to be this, I tell you this, as a young child, I used to hate beards. I used to hate it. I wanted the ice picks. I wanted the ice pick sideburns. You know what I mean? I wanted them to fly. You know, I wanted them sharp, razor sharp. You had them sharp ice pick sideburns. You was the man back in the days. But I couldn't stand it. But then I realized as you get closer with God, what God wants for you is the norm of life. What everybody else wants from you is the alteration of life. I can be happy with who I am. I can love who I am. So now here we about to go into a paradoxical statement inside of the scriptures will may baffle many, but I give an explanation to it. Continue.
For the fire offer Hashem, the food of the Elohim, they offer, so they must remain holy.
So he's saying they gotta remain holy. They offering the food of the Creator. And the Almighty already tell you that He don't eat none of this. This is a concession. You like sacrifices. You feel that you want to give to God. Let me implement a structure that allows you to feel that you give to God, but I don't need none of this. Go ahead.
They shall not marry a woman who is a harlot or who has been desecrated.
All right.
And they should not marry a woman who has been divorced by her husband, for each one is holy to his Elohim.
Next slide. All right. Next slide. All right. It says that you should not marry a harlot, right? Now, there's this whole confusion about what's a harlot in the Israelite community, and I want people to stop playing games with God's law. Right? It says you shouldn't marry a harlot, and some books translate a zona as an adulteress, but that's not what the book says. It says they shouldn't marry a harlot, right? You got the law, and the daughter of any priest, which is in Leviticus 21:19, and she profaneth herself by playing the whore. She profaneth her father, and she shall be burnt with fire. It says she playeth the harlot, right? Now let's go to Deuteronomy 22:20, verses 21. I'm not saying this. God is saying this through the mouth of the prophet. We got to stop playing games with this. Most High did not play with harlotry. He did not play with harlotry. It says, but if this thing be true in the token of virginity, I was talking about a damsel who was supposed to be a virgin. Let me tell you, virginity in the Hebrew Israelite community is so important. God only has laws for virgins. What do I mean by that? The law of rape, the law of marriage is all predicated upon a virgin. Meaning that these laws still stand if you're not a virgin. But in understanding and getting a wife, the best wife you should be able to get is a virgin. Now, if you're a sister and you're not a virgin, you've been married before, am I beating you up? No. What we're teaching is we're trying to make sure our daughters in the future generation sees how imperative it is to become and stay a virgin so you find that right man. So the book only gives that option. It just wants you to be married that one time. But if it falls, okay, then okay, you can move up and pick it on, because sometimes things like that happen in life. But what we want from our daughters and our sons is something better than we had. My wife, Rofani, was the second woman I was ever with in my life. And I regret that there was one before her, because it actually scarred me. But I want you to see this. In the scriptures, it says, it says, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house. So this is a woman that's saying she's a virgin, and they find out that she's not a virgin. Now look how serious this book is. Bring the damsel to the father's house, and then the men in the city shall stone her with stones, that she shall die, because she has wrought wanton deeds in Israel. She had brought something that shouldn't even be in Israel. This is why she's being stoned. It shouldn't even be in Israel. Right? So play the harlot in her father's house. Now it says what? It says Lezona bait. Bait Aviha towards her father. She played Lezono. She played the harlot in the house of her father. Right? So that means that harlotry is not just you being a prostitute. Harlotry is you being sneaky and sleeping around. Harlotry is all of this stuff that is against the laws of the Almighty Creator. So a zona is not just a prostitute. Do not teach that. Do not teach that. It is a loose woman. That's what the law is saying. Go back. Go back and slide. Go back and slide. Go back. Go forward. All right, right there. Now, it talks about this, and we speak about this. Now, I want y'all to understand that there's a problem sometimes with us as males, but with women too. Like, we're going to talk about the women in this aspect. And sometimes when you're arguing with a woman or you're going into it, the priest had to stay away from any baby mama drama. Right? They just couldn't be a part of that. Because when you is nothing, do you understand how, and I shared this as a man. Let's say that I'm coming up here and I'm bringing a presentation to the Creator, before the people of the Creator, and I want to do the laws of God, and I'm trying to do it right, and I get into it with my wife. Do you know how my spirit feels to come up here? I don't want to come up here. My spirit doesn't want me to come up here, but sometimes I got to fight it. You got to fight that spirit. Because when the man is performing before God and he's doing the work of God, sometimes as a wife, you have to step back and give him that space. You got to make sure that he's being supported to the best that you can support him, that he gives the best to God in order to give the best to you. So this book is warning you. It's saying the priest, don't get a harlot and don't get somebody that was divorced. There's a lot of problems that come with that in Israel. So now, I want to read this. It says, I can't see it. It says something about thinking about twice about who you're getting into bed with. This is the one of the things. I did a little research this morning. And I have this in my book. It's called The Queen's Sacrifice. But this is actually some new research that I want to share with you. And in it, it talks about women having Y chromosomes. What's strange about that? Only men are supposed to have Y chromosomes. But in their research, they're realizing that almost 25% of women now have men DNA. Now, that's not nothing strange because if a woman have a male child, she carries some of the baby's genes. So it should be somewhat in her blood, right? And this is why we see that sometimes when a woman has a man child, it brings up somewhat some balance. It brings us some balance in life because everything that we're trying to find is balance in life. A man needs a woman to find balance. A woman needs a man to find balance. Let's go over this research. Conducted by immunologists at the Fred Hutchinson Center, Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center in 2004, the study took samples of 120 women who have never had sons. They found 21% of these women had male DNA. The women were then categorized into 4 groups according to pregnancy history. Group A had only daughters. Group B had 1 or more miscarriages. Group C had induced abortions. And Group D had never been pregnant before. Right? The prevalence of male microchimerism was considerably greater in Group C. So microchimerism is when you see that the woman has the male genes, right? It was found greater in Group C. Although it was still present in each group, Group A showed 8%, Group B showed 22%, Group C showed 57%, and Group D showed 10%. I'm going to elaborate on this. This information y'all need to know. From these results, researchers hypothesized possible sources of male microchimerism as known as pregnancies, miscarriage, or vanished male twins, or sexual intercourse. Or what?
Sexual intercourse.
Sexual intercourse. This means that the intercourse alone, there is potential for women to hold onto male genes, DNA within their organs and bloodstream for their entire life.
Wow.
What does that mean when you're talking about the priest, brother? What does that have to do with anything we're talking about? It means that women should be very cautious with who they sleep with because DNA, whether you know it or not, is information from another individual. My father taught me something when I was younger. He said this to me. He said, when you see a husband and a wife fighting, don't jump in it. He said, because when you jump in it, that woman will eventually do what?
Turn on you.
Turn on you. So now let's look at this. We see that through sexual intercourse, your genes are actually starting to be amalgamated into the man that you were sleeping with genes, and you start to actually have memory and thoughts and become more like him. So now it is battle of 2 authorities when the woman has multiple relationships or relationships outside of man because she has semen from different entities that govern her. Can y'all see where this could be a possible threat?
Yes.
Am I knocking the sisters? No. It's all right. See, the strongest part of our people is to understand that we made mistakes. Because just like I fight for my daughters to be virgins, I want my sons to be virgins just as much. Don't tell me no male chauvinistic, oh, here, son, here's your first condom. Go out there and make daddy proud. You know that's how they used to think, right? Most of my friends, they daddy gave them a condom. My Abba gave me a beating. My father used to search for me. If I wasn't there on time, he would search everywhere. My father found me on the rooftop with a girl one time. I'm like, how you find me up here? What? Nobody know I'm up here. I'm on the rooftop. Be like, oi! And my cousin coming to get me. His name is Chief Navely. Come get me. I know you on that rooftop, boy. Your Abba wants you. What the? You know, you gotta go down them steps and walk all the way up to the block to your Abba. You thinking, every my Abba wants to tear my behind. I was like, you downstairs. You know, I was prejudgmental. He's like, you with that girl with lipstick? That girl fast girl to wear that lipstick? You know, that's back in the day. That means you was fast. You with that fast girl to wear lipstick, boy? I said, I'm just boom, 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 boom. They went back down that block. Never went down that block. But you gotta understand, let's go continue with the research. Next slide. All right, is it? All right, cool. So I want y'all to realize that we have to start pushing virginity in this class. We have to start pushing virginity in this class. It's very imperative. It's healthy for us as a group. You should tell your daughters, it's okay to like a boy. It's okay to like a girl. But these things, now think about it, and women that think about it, these men are downloading information inside of you. Now, you know when you hate that man, you got a baby by the man, you hate him, that baby look just like what? The man. Do you know that your child, if you were the former man, your child could come out from the other man looking like the prior husband? Ooh. And that's confusion. That's why people be on Maury. People be on Maury, that baby don't look like me. But you have to understand genes. This wasn't meant to be. My father used to always say a woman is like a spittoon. I didn't know what that was. It's like, man, come out and spit in them. You know, that's why he make the noise and everything. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? But he actually got that from the Apocrypha. It means that man is giving his filth. He's putting his filth inside of you, whatever. But you're allowing every man to do it to you, multiple men. And how do you stop this spiraling from spiraling out of control? Because in ancient times, married to a priest made you the choicest woman. You were a quality woman. See, we may not see it now, but this desecration has to be a part. And when Mosai said, if the daughter of a priest is found playing the harlot, sleeping around, she get burned. Why? Because that destroys the moral fabric of the whole society. Do you know the most lewd women on the planet are preachers' daughters?
Yeah.
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 They're the worst. It's because they're being taught morality that society isn't teaching them. And people think sex is an expression to say, I love you. And that's what love means. When I was young and I was 13 years old, I told this girl I love her. I didn't know I loved her. I didn't really know. I was just saying it. I love you. She said, well, prove it to me. I said, how do I prove it to you? She said, sleep with me. I was scared. You know, I was scared of sex back then. I was like, sleep with you? God, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. I'm like, no, well, that's crazy. You know, as a child, you have the innocence about, you have a shame about getting naked. That was my fear. And they kept me and held me down until about 17. I had a fear, you know, you're like, look, I pull it, and I pull out my pants, and you gonna see all this, and I laugh. Well, this is cool. You know, like that was my fear. That was my fear. But she told you, and this is what people throwing around. This sex is marriage, it's love. That's not marriage. That's not marriage. Do not get tricked inside of this. Well, Adam knew his wife. You telling me that you're going by what the first man and woman that ever on earth went by? And there was nobody around them? When you read in the scriptures, you see that there's a courtship. You see that a man has to earn the right from the father. You see that the man David had to get foreskins from the Philistines. That's why I said, you want my daughter, bring me back 3,000 foreskins. He said some stupid stuff. Give me 3,000 foreskins of the Philistines. So you want my daughter. Then you see Samson, the same thing. They all went through stages. They went through all of these things in order to take a woman, because guess what? A woman, you have to be valued. How are you valued? You're valued by the appreciation that he shows to your father. The respect he shows to your family, because when a man comes, he's taking away a valuable asset from the family. It is. If you come get my daughter and you marry her and I ain't missing my daughter, that means she never was nothing in my life anyway. You come to take away my daughter, you better be taking away somebody cleaning, somebody that cook, somebody that do something, and I miss her. Beware of them fathers get away. You want my daughter? Go ahead, brother. You good. Get away with her real quick. I want out of my house. Get out of my house. Yeah.
Go.
No, hey, bro, I'm gonna answer for you. She's yours. I didn't even finish my sentence. Hey, well, come on, dang. Beware. But here, it's okay to go a while. Sex and young brothers, and I'll tell you this. Sex, you're only going to enjoy 3 seconds of it. And I hope that's not too much, but the truth is the truth. Brothers will tell you they had sex and they wanted the woman, and they finally got the woman, and they climaxed, and then they're like, what was all that about? You make a mistake that only worth 3 seconds of enjoyment or delight for the rest of your life. It's not worth it. Don't let society let you think that this is okay. Not okay. And your daughters have to realize that there's a lot of suffering that comes from a woman that has multiple men. And can she fight it? Yes, she can. God can help her. And with the right support around her, they can help her, but it's not natural. It's not natural. I want my daughter one and done. When I marry her, I want her to be married for the rest of her life to that person. If that person ain't doing the right, I'm not going to force it in. If that person is treating her bad, it doesn't mean that you're going to stay around just because you should stay around. I want him to acknowledge how righteous you are. I want him to acknowledge that you're a beautiful woman. I want him to acknowledge your wealth and your worthiness. And our scriptures is so profound. And it talks about, it goes in the scriptures and it talks about a priest. He can't be blind, which is the word weird. He can't be deformed, which is the word mum. All of these words we have to realize. He can't be sharua, which means has an extensive or extra finger or one leg longer than the other. He can't have that. But is that because our God is superficial? This is the concessions our Heavenly Father makes. And these are some of the things that seem so paradoxical inside of our scriptures, because one minute God says, do not allow the eunuchs to come before me, or ones with crushed testicles in the same scriptures. Then he says, do not bring those that has blemishes on them. When they talked about Absalom, they said Absalom was without blemish. He was beautiful. But God says in Samuel, when he's picking David, that he's not picking by the outward appearance. He's picking from that which is in the heart. So is God contradicting himself? Or does he understand that society has put principles in order, and in order for you to be able to teach society, you have to meet them halfway. So if you got a crippled person or a person with a deformity that's ministering before God, sometimes people will be distracted because what society has taught you, it allow you to not look at what's being holy that's being done. So give them something that's appealing to their eyes. There's a lot of fathers in here, right? And you might not even have never had this problem, but I have sisters, so I know the problem. My father always tried to hook my daughter up with my sister up with somebody. And my sister was like, I don't like him. He not handsome. My sister always said the same thing. I would pick the strangest looking people. But they were good brothers. They were righteous. They were beautiful individuals to me. But she didn't want them. So in truth, that we have to realize that there has to be a compromise and a concession. You remember when they came to get Raquel, they asked Raquel, do you want to go? And she said yes. So sometimes God gives us rules and regulations based on our perception in life and where we're at in life. We're given laws of clothing, but we were born into this world without clothes. Because there's a certain level that we're at as individuals and we're at as people. We can all walk around here naked, but will it be received or understood? No, because it's understood as lewdness now, because the way people think. So now God has to give us rules according to the way people think, because perception, and this is always said, overrules reality. This is why the law, when a woman is found and she's concealed with a man, the man has a spirit of jealousy upon them. It don't say that she slept with them. It said that they were found alone somewhere. Because guess what? It's the perception. The man may trust you or believe you, but then in his mind, there's a chance that something might have happened. And society is so weird. They say, oh, man is so insecure. Why I can't go on a date with another man? Why I can't have a dinner date with a friend? That's insecurity. Society is really crazy. Yeah, because the man that's supposed to be your security is not there. So you are insecure. You're not secure. But society plays on this world because it allows you to go into fornication and getting away from the Creator. Men have to be very, very mindful in life of what you're doing. And our beautiful daughters is no different. Create that culture. And men, though that there is no priesthood nowadays, you still should treat yourself as if you're following a priestly order by following certain rules of morality. Devote yourself to the Heavenly Father. Stay away from things that are going to make you unclean and unseemly. It even says, and the priest should not become contaminated by way of semen when they minister before God. So don't come to me and talk about having sex on the Sabbath. You cannot do that. Most High says, separate the clean from the unclean, the holy from the unholy. No matter what your desires say, no matter how much you try to make your sex holy. I was reciting Proverbs 31 when we was making love. Yeah. You never cease. Your hands is like wool. Yeah, no, that's you didn't make it holy. It is sanctity in its own, but from it comes uncleanliness that separates you. That word is tameh. That word is tameh. That tameh is what we see as unclean or defiled. So God separates these things with us. Allow us to be mindful of everything around you. When you on a train and don't sit around everywhere. Remember the laws of God. You separate, people are going to know, and they're going to love you for your separation. They're going to love you for who you are. It's going to make you so powerful. It's going to make you righteous. You being different is what makes you the trendsetter. Because guess what? A trend means somebody actually was different. There was somebody that was different that made a trend, right? But you only follow because everybody's doing it, so you can never be a trendsetter. You're always going to see me with my fringes. You're always going to see me with my frontlet on me. I'm always going to be there. And if I'm not, I'm slipping, and please pull my coat up, but I will walk around with this thing on my arm that a brother made with a Torah scroll wrapped in it. Because the Most High said, and it shall be a frontlet between your eyes. You shall bind it upon your hand. Don't do the fringes, Lord. Don't do the frontlet, Lord. But guess what? It's going to make you different. It's going to make you different. And that's one of the things. And my Isha can tell you that, TORAH, she can tell you that she found peace and she went through criticism her whole life about being different. But when she got older, people found her uniqueness and an intriguing thing that made her different than everybody else. Your culture is going to make you different from everybody else, and it even determines how people approach you. Go outside with a shirt on and some jeans and flip-flops. Do it. And watch it. Hey, Shawnee, come in. Let me holler at you. You're like, no, I'm married. Go out there with a hair wrap, a skirt on, and some fringes, and what they gonna say?
Hey, sis.
Hey, queen.
Yep.
Hey, queen, princess, my beautiful nectar from heavens. They gonna just drop everything on you. Yeah, my Nubian God, they gonna call you everything. Oh, different. Now, to me, if I was a girl, I wouldn't want to be the shorty. I want to be the queen. I was in last time we went to New York. I sat in the building. I'm sitting in the bodega, and I'm right behind it. The guy's like, "Yeah, I told you, warm my beef patty up, man. How you gonna give me a cold beef patty?" I said, "Brother, you come sometimes you want it cold, sometimes you want it hot. I want it hot with cheese, bro." He said, "I want it hot with cheese." He turned around and said, "Man, you gotta be acting crazy in front of this blessed, righteous brother behind me, man. Dang, man. Sorry, brother. Man, I'm sorry, man. You an upright brother, man. You gotta be acting a fool in front of an upright brother. Off my clothes?
Off the clothes. Yeah.
Off the clothes.
Set apart.
Yeah, it's set apart. Be blessed by it. When you go, you in my apartments, the kids hang out in front. They'll be cursing up a storm. I walk downstairs, they stop cursing. They're like, mother, oh, what's up, brother? Peace, salam alaikum, brother, whatever. Whatever gets you right, brother. That make you right. Because you got to make a difference. So when I see that, I got to be different.
That's right.
I got to be different. And people see me as being different, then I got to show a way. I got to be the light to the people. I got to be the light to the people, and that's who you're going to be. And that's the whole understanding of being a priest. Sometimes you have to say it in the ear. You have to tell these people that you are a priest of God. You are different. And this is what God is. This is a kind word to you. He said, let me say something to you. You're a priest of God. Do not defile yourself. Do not become defiled by being so simple and secular with the world. You are something different that makes you so special, and it stops you from receiving all the curses. If you would follow the laws of God, he said, I won't give you no diseases that I gave the people of the Egyptians. God will cover you. He'll blanket you in our community to come. So if you're an Israelite, always remember to stay righteous, and remember that the Most High said you're a priest to the nation. You're the ancient Habirus. You was the one building up the temples in the first place. You were the ones ministering. You are that royal class of people that always been. You were so good. People want to marry your daughters just so they can have children with your DNA. You too busy not wanting to be black. You want everything else except being what God sent you. But people want your DNA. They want your blood. They want royalty. My man said got royalty inside his DNA. That's what you have. You have to ignite it. You have to acknowledge it. So when you're acting like a heathen, when you're acting like a belligerent fool, calm yourself down and remember that you are setting the standard of the world. If you're acting like this, the world is going to act like that. Become what you want the world to be. And that's all for today's lesson. I thank the Most High for allowing us. And it said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That was the part that we all, if you are a person, are you a Hebrew Israelite, there's no space for us not doing the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a highly exalted day. And one thing I did want to touch on was, before I leave, one thing. And there's this thing about day and night Sabbath. And I'm going to read this one thing and I'm going to leave up. I almost forgot it. Now, there are Israelites that say that the Sabbath begins in the daytime, and some Israelites say it's the night. If you read the unclean laws, it always says you're unclean until what? The evening, right? But let's read Leviticus 24. And God gives a commandment to Aharon. He says this. Listen to everybody. Listen to everybody. 24 start at 1.
Read.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Israel that they shall make you a pure olive oil press for illumination to the kindle and continual lamp outside the partition of the testimony and the tent of meetings. Aaron shall arrange it from evening to morning. All right, so say Aaron says make you some oil and arrange it, and you should do this evening to morning, right? Evening to morning, continue. Before Hashem, continually an eternal decree for your generations. On the pure menorah shall he arrange the lamps before Hashem continually. All right, continue. You shall take the fine flour and the bake it into 12 loaves. Each loaf shall be 2 tenth ephahs. You shall place them in 2 sacks, 6 in each sack, upon a pure table before Hashem. You shall put pure frankincense on each stack, and it shall be a remembrance for the bread, a fire offering for Hashem. Each and every Shabbat you shall arrange them before Hashem continually. For the children of Yisrael.
It said, each and every Shabbat you shall do this and arrange it before the Most High continually. So he says that he gives an order to Aaron that he should do even in the morning. And he gives him the list of stuff that he should do. And he said you should do this every Sabbath. So anybody that tells you the Sabbath begins in the daytime, the Torah is teaching you something completely different. Leviticus 24 has commands for Aaron to do something from the evening to the morning, and he shall do this every Sabbath that the Most High ordained him to do. So when they say the Sabbath begins in the daytime, they're not really reading it. And in truth, it actually comes from Jehovah's Witnesses. That theory actually comes from a Jehovah's Witnesses insight book, that the day starts in the morning. And that's coming from Gregorian type style thinking. That is not Hebraic. You can't be talking about the new moon is the beginning of the new month, but the day starts in the morning. That doesn't make sense. The moon determines that. That means you see the moon during the evening. Let's get back to really doing this culture and practicing and stop trying to manipulate it for what you want it to be. Hallelujah.
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 All right, let's get some song of praise. The children are going to lead. I'm going to follow along what they're doing. We're going to get it better next week. We're going to work it out at the house. We're going to come together. We're going to leave this praise and worship. With all praises, all honor, all glory to the supreme intellect of the universe. Yah, our forefathers, Yah, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, thank you to Heavenly Father for blessing us with the spirit of peace of mind. And remember that you are a priest of the Almighty in all things you do, the walk, and everything that you do in life. So remember the great King and the serenity of His holiness. Love, honor, and glory to our God, our power, our rock, and our Redeemer. And we ask Him for forgiveness in all things that we do. Donations are obligations for the nation. Please see Lavana for donations and obligations. And you know, if you read the scriptures, you see that the Most High says, and you shall not handle what? Your business This is the business of the Creator, and we brought presents and we brought gifts and we brought offerings on Sabbath. So this is the preservation of His holy Sabbath day where we're doing something sanctified in His name. So please, if you have donations or obligations for the nation, let us look into it and see if we can share and keep this place open. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, hallelujah. All right, everybody, break time. At 7 o'clock.